Welcome back to Behind the Facts, the podcast where we explore the stories, patterns, and behaviors that shape our world, from science and psychology to sports and society. I'm Maya.
And I'm Alex. And today, Maya, I have to confess something interesting.
Oh, go on.
Looking at this research, it hit a little too close to home. I've realized I physically cannot just sit alone with my own thoughts for even a few minutes.
Right.
If I have downtime, I'm, reaching for my phone, turning on the radio, I can't do the silence.
You are definitely not alone in that. And it turns out people will go to, well, some pretty extreme lengths to avoid it. Did you see that 2014 study from the University of Virginia and Harvard?
I did. That one is, well, it's a little unsettling.
Yeah. They put people in a room for, 6 to 15 minutes?
Not long at all.
No phones, no books, nothing. Just them and their thoughts. But there was a catch, right?
A big one. They gave them a button that would give them a mild electric shock.
And these are people who had already said they would pay money not to be shocked again.
Exactly. But when they were left alone in that quiet room, 67% of the men and 25% of the women, they chose to shock themselves.
Voluntarily, rather than just sit there.
It implies we would literally rather feel physical pain than, mental quiet.
That seems so irrational. What is actually driving that? I mean, why is our relationship with silence so toxic?
Well, looking at the evolutionary biology side of things, it's not just a modern short attention span problem. It's actually a survival instinct. You saw the study on rats.
I did. We think of silence as peaceful, but for most of history, nature is noisy.
Totally. Crickets, wind, birds, whatever. When that background noise suddenly stops,
It's not a good sign.
it's a public cue for danger. A study showed that when the sounds of movement stopped, the rats would just freeze. Their brains read silence as a threat.
So a predator is nearby.
Probably. So when you sit in a quiet room, your sort of primitive brain is basically screaming, danger.
But even when you know you're safe, there's a neurological thing happening, right? The default mode network.
Yes, the DMN. And this is key. We think when we're not doing a task, our brain is resting.
But it's not.
Not at all. When you drift off, the DMN kicks in. And it burns, get this, 60 to 80% of the brain's total energy.
Wait, just for zoning out?
Just for zoning out, it's incredibly expensive. Because the DMN is doing what they call mental time travel. It's ruminating on the past, worrying about the future, obsessing over us.
And it doesn't usually replay your greatest hits, does it? It scans for problems. So silence feels like anxiety.
Exactly. And without distractions, you run into the white bear problem. If you try not to think of a white bear.
It's all you can think about. Those intrusive thoughts get so much louder.
And that's not just a metaphor. There's a real mechanism called central gain. Think of it like a sound engineer with a microphone.
Okay.
If the room is loud, you turn the mic's sensitivity down. But if the room goes dead silent, your brain, the engineer, cranks the volume knob all the way up, trying to find a signal.
And if there's no signal, you just get that feedback noise, that hum.
Precisely. That's a leading theory on tinnitus. The ringing isn't in your ear. It's your brain turning up the volume so high it creates its own noise.
And if you take that to the extreme, I saw the notes on the Gansfeld effect, total sensory deprivation.
It gets even stranger. In just 15 minutes, the brain starts to, manufacture reality. It starts hallucinating.
Because it's desperate for patterns. It's like being lost in a snowstorm. All you see is white, so your brain just starts frantically filling in the blanks with faces or shapes.
Anything to make sense of the void.
So to recap, our brains link silence to predators. They burn massive amounts of energy, worrying when we're idle. And if it gets too quiet, they start to hallucinate. Why would we ever want silence?
Well, that's the big twist. Despite all this, it turns out silence is a biological necessity. We might hate it, but we actually need it.
Ah, the Duke University study.
That's the one. They found that 2 hours of silence, which the brain resists, actually triggered the growth of new cells in the hippocampus.
The memory center of the brain.
Yeah, it's a process called neurogenesis. The silence literally helped rebuild their brains.
And there was that other study from 2006 about music. The most relaxing part for the heart and brain wasn't the relaxing music itself.
It was the 2-minute pauses between the tracks.
Huh. So we need these little sound snacks, these short breaks of quiet to let the system reset.
It seems so. The brain fights it because it's hard work. It forces us to face our internal noise. But pushing through that discomfort might be the only way to detoxify the system.
It's like we should stop treating silence as this empty space we need to fill and start treating it more like a vitamin, something we need in small doses.
Perfectly put. It does make you wonder, though. If silence is essential for growing new brain cells, are we just distracted all the time, or are we actively stunting our own evolution by never letting our brains reset?
Thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll be back with you very soon.